Hi, thanks so much for joining me. I want to talk about what I made my career on. My supervisor, I was working, trying to get a master's in clinical psychology. After many attempts of dropping in and out of college to get my first degree, and then dropping in and out of a master's degree that I never used very much. And then I decided I better go back and go into what I really wanted to be since high school, and that would be counselor, psychologist. Ended up being that, along with a clinical social worker and a licensed clinical addictions counselor. Now, the best advice I ever got was from a supervisor at Charter Hospital, where I was working for $8 an hour. And I was seeing people on an outpatient basis that had fallen into drinking too much or using drugs. But what he said was very important. He says, I know you want to be a mental health therapist or a psychologist. And I did become a psychologist in Kentucky. I'm in Indiana now. I got various other licenses. But in both states, I'm licensed in alcohol and drug treatment. His advice was, everybody that walks into your office when you start working will have need of advice about alcohol and drug use because someone in their family is touched by it. And many don't want to talk about it unless it was to a counselor. He said, if you, I think he said 3 out of 4 rather than 4 out of 4, would be touched by alcohol but wouldn't know what to do. I took that for what he said, and what I found out over the 30 plus years of me working in the field of mental health and substance abuse, that anybody that came in with a problem with mental health, there was almost all of them had a real concern of a family member or themselves having an alcohol and drug problem and not knowing about what to do when the person lied, stowed their prescription narcotics, hid bottles of alcohol around the house in hopes they wouldn't be found. Now, this would be family members of a person that would come to see me for a different reason. Until I approached that subject of anybody have any addictions in your family that you'd like to talk about. They may be in there for depression. They may be in there for anxiety or job problems, anything, except they wouldn't come in and present to talk about alcohol and drugs. But my supervisor, he let me know if I didn't get, in Kentucky it was a certified alcohol and drug abuse counselor. Over here in Indiana it was the same thing till they made it a license. I'm in Indiana now. He said, you'll never be without a job if you'll get that certification, which later on became a licensure where I am now. And that wasn't easy to get, by the way. You had to work full time, 3 years, with alcohol and drug issues. It could be family members. It could be the real thing, people that's withdrawing in your room from heroin, and you have to call the ambulance to come and get them. It could be that severe. It could be so severe that I'd be talking to a person on Friday trying to help them. They'd make a commitment not to drink, and then I'd get a phone call from their wife that they wouldn't be in on Monday because they shot themselves. So, I'm sharing this because if it's a concern in your family, about your family or yourself, it's worth talking to someone that specializes in alcohol and drug treatment. And if that seems too heavy of a job to find someone, call an alcohol and drug treatment center in your area and ask them for referrals of counselors that they know are good in helping people with alcohol and drug problems. It will surprise you when I will tell you that many of the counselors in the alcohol and drug treatment became counselors because they were alcoholics and drug addicts, but they had to go through the 3 years of, they had to get a degree first, the right degree depending on what state they were in. Then they had to take a national board exam. Then comes a national written exam, then a board exam that was oral, and those are questions. They held up 5-minute signs, and they would let you know when you were down to a minute to answer that question. If you got past that, that was the second test you had the same day as you had the national board, which was probably the hardest exam I had in the mental health field. The third thing was take us through meeting a drug addict or alcoholic and tell us how you would complete it from start to finish. What would you do? You make up the story, and it could be any drug or it could be alcohol, but take us step by step what you would do over the time before you discharge them. Well, you can imagine that could be a stumbling block for a lot of people that's either scared, nervous, or just anxious. For me, it was fine because I had failed the State Board of Psychology exam twice, and then on the third attempt I passed. It was an oral exam, and it was like it overcame the fear of taking tests, whether oral or written, and the other licensures that I was going to get. Now, if you need the help, get it. I can't tell you that there's not a lot of relapse, even if you send them to the best hospitals in the country. There is lots of relapse, a need for counseling, basically a need to get away from the people that are a bad influence, causing you to want to drink all the time or use crack cocaine or heroin. And I know of people, either personally from them being a client or friends that had people die from overdoses. I know how real it is. And if I was to go back into counseling, I'm 76 right now, and I sort of gave it up 2 years ago, but if I was to go back into counseling, it would be specifically for drug and alcohol guidance and treatment. Not everybody that has a problem needs to go into a hospital for rehab. Sometimes just 1 or 2 or 3 sessions can make all the difference in the world, and then stopping. But not for most people. AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and NA, Narcotics Anonymous, can be more than beneficial for maybe the majority of people, because it's like a support group, and the people, many of them there, have been in worse shapes than the new people coming in, and they can pull them out. They can sponsor them. They can be there at 2 in the morning to talk to them on the phone or meet with them in person at Frisch's. That's about all I can share about this. I don't know why it was on my mind tonight. But realize that if you go into any phone book, if they still have one in your area, and you look under alcohol or drug treatment, there'll be people there that will help and guide you to find a person that will help your loved one. And if the first counselor doesn't jive with you or jive with your family member, don't give up. There's so many more counselors in the field with various experience. And some experience will be like what a person's going through that would seek treatment, and others will be critical and judgmental. You don't want the critical and judgmental counselors. You can always say you want to postpone the next appointment. That I'm not the type of guy that would say, hey, after this first session, this wasn't a good fit. I would just say, let me think about things and call back if I want to reschedule. Because the counselor's human just like you and me. Our feelings can be bloodied from bad words from the person that we've tried to help. So I wish I could say, hey, I have a treatment center and I'll tell you where it is. And I have had 2 treatment centers that I made from scratch because I didn't like to work with people that didn't understand me. And what I mean by that is most people in the mental health field, psychologists, clinical social workers, marriage and family therapists, and psychologists, and I got all those licenses, either in Kentucky or Indiana. Some of them's going to be narcissistic. They're going to look down. Others are going to be too soft. And other people's going to say, let me help you. I'm glad you've come. Do you want to come back tomorrow or next week, and we're going to work this thing together till you've finished and ended up where you want to go, whether it was to stop completely taking, say, alcohol, or where it's, and this is not recommended by any alcohol and drug counselor, and that is social drinking, just occasionally when you're out at a restaurant. That's never recommended, because AA will teach you one drink's never enough. One drink's too many. So I would recommend reading books, lots of books on this subject. And most of all, right where you're looking right now is YouTube. And I have watched many people who have stopped drinking. I watched 2 before I came on here. And that's why I'm making this video. I thought, oh my gosh, her stories are worse than anything I heard in person. So if this means anything to you, I'm glad. If it doesn't, keep it in the back of your brain, because life's not over yet, and you don't know who you're going to meet. God bless you. Thanks for visiting me today.